Hey everyone, my name is Kelly. I am so excited to launch this channel. I'm going to be talking about all things fitness and my journey as a bodybuilder. I do have another channel where I talk about my career as a journalist and my passion for the Clippers, but I realized that audience really wasn't interested in my fitness routines, what I eat, things like that. So I figured, you know what, let me just make another channel. And I am in prep right now. This is my third competition season, and it was really important for me to document this one. I haven't been able to document my other preps, and it was really important for me to do this one. And I did start prep at the very end of 2024, and I've been wanting to do a video really talking about why and how this prep is different. And I was like, I need to start this now before time passes. So here we are. So I figured in this video, since I'm introducing myself, I figured I could show y'all what some of my other looks have been like, how that prep was different, and things like that. One thing that's really different about this prep is that I'm keeping it to myself. I'm not really telling a lot of people about it. And I'll get into the specifics later, but I realized, like, for one thing, I don't want prep to be my entire personality. I feel like when I've competed in the past, that's all I talked about, that's all I thought about, and it doesn't mean that I'm any less focused this time around. If anything, I'm actually more focused. But I realized that maybe I was too reliant on people for affirmation or support, and that really needs to come from within. So I decided just to keep it to myself. Now, my whole family does know, and the reason for that is because the show that I have picked out this year does coincide with some family time. So I had to let them know, like, hey, this is the date of the show. This is what I'm aiming for, so they can make plans accordingly. And of course, like, I absolutely want them to be there. My favorite show that I've ever done was just having my whole family in the audience watching me, cheering me on. So I haven't told any of my friends about it or anything like that. And again, I just really want that confidence to come from within. So let's get into my journey so far. So the first season that I competed was in 2020, and that was a very interesting year for it to be the first time going into a show. And initially, I knew that over the holidays, I met my coach over the holidays. I wanted to start my prep in February, and then I wanted to step on stage sometime in the summer. I think a July show is what I had in mind. So as you guys know, I talked about earlier that I am a journalist, and before the world turned upside down, we know that we lost Kobe Bryant, and that was a very difficult story for me to cover. Just someone who grew up watching him, it almost felt like I knew him. So that was really a heartbreaking story to cover. And mentally, it just made me want to honor him as much as I could, not just through my writing, but I really try to implement the Mamba mentality in my prep. So that's how I went into things. And then, of course, we all know what else happened in 2020. And I just remember I live in California. Gyms were closed, shows were getting canceled left and right. So when it came to that prep, there was just a lot of unpredictability. So I started my prep in the middle of February. I didn't step on stage until December. And so what ended up happening was we did a lot of at-home workouts, and then eventually there was a gym in Burbank that they converted part of the parking garage because malls were closed. So they converted a part of a parking garage into a gym. And so that's what I was doing. We also implemented sprints and running just so I could get more cardio in and really get my legs down. That is always the most stubborn thing. That is always the most difficult thing for me, is just lower body. So that's what we did for that prep. So I was in prep for most of the year, and that was really difficult. So by the time it came to November, I thought my show was going to get canceled. I did enjoy Thanksgiving, and then at the last minute, the show I decided to do was canceled. It was going to be in Las Vegas, and then they moved the show to Arizona, where I grew up. So the show did go on, and that was a life-changing experience. I absolutely loved show day, and I learned so much about the sport. And I didn't make first call-outs, and I remember just like really wanting to get right back into another prep. So this is when things got really interesting, and this is another reason that I'm keeping this prep to myself. So I started posting my pictures from the show, and another coach had contacted me. And I wanted to keep working with my coach. I wanted to go straight into another prep. And nobody was telling me, hey, you should reverse, your body needs a break. You were in prep for almost an entire year. And I didn't know any better. I was still very new to the sport. So I wanted to keep working with my first coach, and then another coach had messaged me on Instagram and said that they wanted to work with me. Well, being the people pleaser that I was, I wanted to work with both of them. So I had one doing my training and another one doing my nutrition. And it became very apparent that they were not going to be on the same page. So I decided to go ahead and have the coach who was doing my nutrition, the one who messaged me on Instagram, I decided that I would have them basically take over my prep. That ended up being I won't say it was a mistake, but it was definitely a learning lesson. And that was a very difficult prep. And obviously my hormones were like all out of whack. Like I couldn't lose weight no matter how much cardio we did, no matter how much we changed up my diet. Like my body was just rejecting everything. And this coach really took it to heart. So I worked with two coaches at a time, at one point during this prep. Then I ended up working with a different coach who ended up just like changing up my diet. We were doing check-ins probably every 3 days or so. And then they would like switch up what my diet would be. And it wouldn't just be like the amounts of food I was eating. It would also be like the types of food. Like it would go from oatmeal to cream of rice, things like that. I'm a working woman. I can't just go to the grocery store every day. My body was really rejecting that prep. And I knew that I didn't look good. I knew there was something wrong. I knew that I wasn't ready to step on the stage. And I just needed someone's opinion. And also, I was working with a posing coach who was straight up like, you are not ready. I think that at that point, maybe I was like gonna do a show in like 12 weeks or something. And my posing coach was like, you don't need to be stepping on stage. What is your coach doing? There was a lot of questions. I had a lot of opinions during this prep about what type of workouts I should be doing, what division I should be doing. I was going for bikini. So my first show, I did do bikini. My second show, during this time, my coach said, you outgrew it. You should probably do wellness, which now we know what wellness is. Wellness doesn't mean that you hold more body fat in your lower body. It just, we know what wellness is now. So I had another friend who was in prep. She had switched coaches, and her new coach said I could reach out to them. So I sent them my photos, and he was pretty honest with me. And he said, you don't look great. I don't think that you're on the right trajectory. And I would not have you stepping on stage, essentially, is what he said. He was very honest. And of course, it was very hard to hear. It's very difficult to hear that when you've been in prep. But I knew that he was right. This is what I looked like at that time. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that physique. But if you're getting ready to step on stage, you just need to look a certain way. I was nowhere near conditioned enough. So at this point, I just pulled the plug. I didn't want anything to do with any type of competition. I was gaining weight, and I just didn't really know what was going on with my body. So I ended up going to the doctor, did blood work, everything was fine. I wasn't going to the gym as much. I tried bar, I tried doing different things, but at this point I had just lost my passion for fitness because like nothing I was doing was resulting in weight loss. So I just started walking, going to bar, like I just really gave my body a break, started eating whatever I wanted. After my first show, like I ended up putting on closer to 20 pounds, and that weight was just not coming off no matter what I did. And it was just very frustrating. No matter how much cardio I did, no matter how much I was dieting, like that weight just was not coming off. 2021 was just figuring out like how to make fitness fun again. So by the fall of 2022, I found a different coach to work with. He was prepping one of my best friends for figure. She had really good things to say about them. So I reached out to them. We hit the ground running. Very quickly determined that I would be competing in wellness instead of bikini. And I felt that was the right answer because I remember being on stage like before my first show, and I went to a posing class, and I just remember being the biggest person in the room. Like I just had a different structure than the other girls. They were way leaner than I was, more conditioned. Like I just felt so out of place. And I'm like, my gosh, I'm probably going to be doing the same show as these girls. And ever since I was younger, I've just always held more body fat in my lower body. I was a cheerleader. I have just always been very muscular in my lower body. That's just where I hold my body fat. And so that's just my structure. So we hit the ground running. Coach was great, but this was a really difficult prep for me. I realized that wellness is a lot different from bikini. I was used to doing higher volume workouts and different things. And I think when I first started working with this coach, we went into a bulk and it just felt like it was so much food. And because this coach was old school, my workouts didn't change. I was on a meal plan and I pretty much ate the same foods for the entirety of that prep. I did get refeeds, but I just realized for me, it was just very difficult to be on a meal plan. So thinking about that prep, I really liked my coach. It was really difficult for me just to have the same workouts, be eating the same foods. I respected my coach. I didn't question them. I just understand that's what some coaches do. For me, it was really difficult. Even though I was getting refeeds, I just really struggled with that prep. The workouts were very intense and it was just so different from what I was used to. But I worked through it. I knew at that point too, work stress was starting to be a factor because I knew that I was going to be going from working fully remotely to hybrid or even fully in person. I didn't really know. So there was like a lot of work stress I was dealing with in addition to just being on prep. So I did do 2 shows in 2022. Absolutely loved it, loved being on stage, and I really enjoyed the process. I did do my 2 shows 5 weeks apart, and I promised myself I would never do 2 shows in that time frame again. I was like, okay, next time I either have to do back to back or I need like a month or 2 apart just so I could have more fun foods in the meantime, not go crazy or anything like that, but to have like one fun meal and get right back to a meal plan was really difficult for me. I'm not going to lie to you guys, just keeping it real. And when I did my last show, I finally cracked first call outs and got 3rd place. That was a lot of fun. And that was Sydney Gillen's. That was her first show that she did. It was the first Peach Classic. And Sydney is she does a phenomenal job. She really does it for the athletes. Like, I just really love how she put things together. That was a really fun show. I had a great time. And of course, having my entire family there supporting me was a lot of fun. So at this point, I was trying to figure out if I wanted to keep competing again, what was next for me. And I wanted to keep working with my coach. We wanted to work together and maybe do some lifestyle. I just wanted a break from competing. I wanted a break from prep. I didn't know if I wanted to grow or what was next for me. At this point, I really tried to work with this coach for lifestyle, but because work was changing, it really took some adjusting for me going from being fully remote to going to working a hybrid schedule. So when I realized that I wasn't really wanting to do a prep or anything like that, I just stopped working with a coach in general. So because I wasn't dedicating my life to bodybuilding, I was able to cover the Clippers more. So that 2023-24 season, I covered them from training camp, went to Hawaii, met Jerry West, finally conjured up the courage to talk to him, introduce myself. Such a nice guy. Like, I remember calling him Mr. West and he was like, call me Jerry. May he rest in peace. He was such a kind man. I really love covering the Clippers. I love covering the NBA, but then we get into 2024.
From Moreno Valley, California, number 2, Kawhi Leonard.
I have gone back and forth trying to figure out if this is something I wanted to speak about publicly, but I realized it is part of my journey, and the events of 2024 did bring me back to bodybuilding. So, long story short, 2024, I was dating somebody. I was bamboozled, y'all. This person presented themselves as one thing and ended up being somebody completely different. Very early in that relationship, there was nothing but green flags. There was enthusiasm, effort, kindness, all of these things. And shortly after we became official, all of that went out the window. And I spent so much of that relationship I did not feel secure in that relationship. I thought there was something wrong with me. It's like, hey, you really liked me before. Like, what am I doing differently? And when I would bring up concerns, I was always told, hey, I'll work on this. I really like you. I want to be with you. And I hung in there because I think that I saw this person for their potential as opposed to who they were at face value. So that relationship ended pretty abruptly. It was not my choice to exit that relationship. Matter of fact, I really fought for it at the end. And they just, I guess, made the choice that they would rather exit that relationship than put in effort. After that happened, I was in a really low place. My self-esteem was in the toilet. I had no feelings of self-worth. Every day was a hard day. So I remember that because I was in such a low place, the feel-good feelings were just not firing. Things like joy and laughter. Because I wasn't able to feel these feel-good emotions, I leaned into comfort, and going back to the gym was a part of that. I remember going to the gym, listening to these motivational speeches. That was the only time that I would feel okay. That would be the highlight of my day. And it wasn't about getting a revenge body or anything like that. It was just more so about wanting to feel good, leaning into comfort, and starting to feel like myself again. And because I was at such a low point, I just remember that hour of being at the gym, listening to motivational speeches. That's what helped get me through that really difficult time. A few months later, the Olympia came around. I was so motivated, and I realized I don't want to be a spectator. Like, I want to get back into this lifestyle. And so I realized that I wanted to do another prep. One thing that I've noticed about bodybuilding is that it gives me something to look forward to. It gives me a goal to work towards. It just puts me back in this lifestyle that I find very rewarding. And also, it wasn't just that relationship. I realized that I had friendships that were like that, where people weren't showing up for me. I was showing up for other people. People weren't showing up for me. And one thing I love about prep is that you absolutely can be selfish, that going to the gym is not an option, and eating certain foods is not an option, or you're going to see it on show day. So right now I'm about 16 weeks out, and of course no prep is perfect, right? So as you guys know, there were the LA wildfires. Not only was I covering the wildfires, I myself was evacuated at one point. Thank goodness everything is okay, but I know other people weren't so lucky, and my heart continues to go out for them. And then also I was moving some furniture one day and ended up hurting my back. So we lost another week there. But as of right now, my coach says we're still on track. But I'm really excited for this prep. I feel like I'm more focused. I really love that I'm keeping this one to myself. She's awesome. She's competed in bikini and wellness before, and she's also won the overall. She's been to nationals, so she knows what it takes to win, to be competitive, and I know she wouldn't put me on stage if I wasn't ready. Naturally, she's just a very positive person and says things like, I'm so proud of you, you look really good, and just things like that mean the world to me. And then I'm going to start posing in a couple of weeks. I have picked out a posing coach, and I'm really excited to start working with them and hit the ground running there as well. So that's where I am at prep so far. A lot of work to do, but I am liking how things are going so far. One thing that I love about competing is that obviously you want to win, you want to be competitive, but I think just stepping on stage is such a celebration, and that's something I love so much about it. And the longevity that comes with the sport. When I see women up on stage who are in their 50s and 60s, that also really inspires me, and it really goes to show that this is a lifelong sport. So there was a while I didn't know if I was ever going to step on stage again, but I think that, you know, I was just led back into this lifestyle. I missed it. I was still keeping up with everything, but I have missed competing myself. And so I'm really happy to be in my third competition season. Well, thank you for listening to my TED Talk. No, seriously, in all seriousness, thank you so much for listening. And it's so nice to meet you guys. I'm so excited to document this journey, and I'm going to be doing more videos. So I will probably release these episodes around my peak week or closer to show day or something like that, and just really show my journey as I hit the stage for my third season. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Let me tell you something. You're still here. And that means something. It means the darkness didn't win. It means you've already survived what you thought you couldn't. It means that no matter how broken, how hurt, how lost you feel, there is still something inside you. something strong, something unyielding, something that refuses to give up.